Let's bring in now Florida Congressman Michael Waltz. He serves on the House Intel and Armed Services Committees. Congressman, good to see you. So we have this 32-year-old American ballerina who goes to Russia to visit her 90-year-old grandmother and gets picked up by Russian police because she made a $50 donation to Ukraine like 2 years ago. I mean, it sounds like a bad nightmare, and I feel so terrible for her family, but this is like open season now on Americans that go to Russia or have anything to do with that. Has the U.S. emboldened Russia to just pick off Americans?
Well, Aisha, my heart breaks for the families, too. This issue is near and dear to my heart, all of these cases. My wife, Julia, worked with Robert O'Brien as the hostage envoy under the previous administration. And there's a couple of things that have to happen here. Number one, it has to start from the top, from the White House, from the president himself. President Trump made it clear to the entire world that there would be nothing but downside if you take Americans hostage, and that you will get nothing from us. You will get no engagement, no sanctions relief, no anything if you're holding a U.S. citizen hostage. And we saw that first and foremost when 3 Americans were released from North Korea, came home on a plane with then Secretary of State Pompeo, right? And in this case, the opposite has happened. Right now, Putin, the Ayatollahs in Iran, frankly, the entire world are incentivized to take hostages, have been incentivized. There's nothing but upside. There's no consequences. And in fact, with the latest trade with Iran, we've now set the price at over $1 billion per head, and the trade for Brittany Griner. What did Putin learn from that? He could get his most notorious arms dealer out that he had been asking for years in exchange for a celebrity. And that just, while it got her out, we left Paul Whelan behind. You now have Dershowitz. And you're right. It's well described. It's now open season on Americans from these dictatorships around the world because it works for them.
So let me ask you about this sanctions package that's going to be released by the White House coming up on Friday here in response, I believe, to the deaths of Alexei Navalny. Back in 2021, the president had said in the same room with Vladimir Putin that there would be devastating consequences for Moscow if Navalny died. Well, he has now died, and the president was asked about this the other day, and he said, well, that was 3 years ago, and the Russians have faced consequences. What consequences, Congressman, have they faced because they continue to invade Ukraine and they continue to do things to Americans like this ballerina? So what sanctions that we've already tried have worked?
Right. Yeah, they're going to apparently announce new sanctions. My position is enforce the sanctions that were already there. Look, Russia is selling just as much oil out to the Europeans and the international market. They're just doing it through China and through India. And the Europeans hypocritically are still buying it. Meanwhile, you have Biden's LNG ban that's even making the price higher. So Putin's war machine is flush with cash. Number one. Number two, he hasn't, and his oligarchs haven't faced any real I think, personal consequences. We have to flip this on its head. And things like back to the sanctions, I mean, we're still buying uranium for our nuclear reactors. The United States is from Russia rather than from allies like Canada. So there is Swiss cheese. I mean, these sanctions are like Swiss cheese. We've got to enforce them rather than kind of virtue signal on new ones.
Okay. Well, we'll watch and see what the president comes up with on Friday, and we'll see if it's enough. Congressman Waltz, thanks for joining us.